Welcome to today's episode. Super excited to have two Common Club member, the no BS advertising guy, Hernan Vazquez. Welcome to the Growth Podcast, man. Pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, man. Thank you. It's so good to be here. I'm really excited to be here. So,
yeah,
thank
absolutely. You. Absolutely. I have a lot to dig in, man. You have a lot of amazing experience. And it's very cool to be able to chat with someone like you. So thank you so much for making the time, man. I do appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to be here. Really excited.
Yeah, awesome. So Hernan, you and I were just chatting a moment ago. We were talking about traveling and you're down in Buenos Aires and we were talking about how much we love the steak there. And I've been there a few times, love Buenos Aires. And you might come over to Rome, we'll grab a cappuccino or something. That's very cool. We got to know each other a little bit. That's awesome. For the listeners and the viewers out there who don't know Hernan as well as I do, would you mind telling us just a bit about yourself?
Sure. Yeah. I've been doing this digital marketing thing, quote unquote, for the past 10, 12 years. I started, doing back in the day, I started doing SEO. I started doing web design, a little bit of everything pretty much. And I've been focusing mostly on paid advertising and paid acquisition of clients over the past, I would say 5, 6 years, maybe 7 years. So that has been my go-to thing. And out of that, I was able to create a couple of 7-figure businesses. This year I went to Fun and Hack and Live to receive the Two Comma Club Award, which was pretty cool. And, I was representing one of my companies, my digital companies. And then I work, I run some big volume, I would say, advertising campaign for some names in the industry, like, Frank Kern. I run some ads for Grant Cardone. So that's pretty cool. That's where I'm at right now. And now trying to, help as many people as possible, making their ads work better. So that's where we are right now.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Awesome. Walking the stage, getting the award, 7 figures, working with some big names. Just another casual day for Hernan, hey? Another casual day.
It doesn't start like this, It doesn't
start. Of course. So yeah, speaking of starting, take us back a little ways. What were you looking sort of to achieve, or what was the driving factor when you got started on your journey?
That's actually a great question. So I started in this journey again, like 10, 12 years ago. I had a really good, I had a daytime, full-time job, 9 through 6, 9 to 5, whatever. And it was good. It was comfortable. It was in a good company. I was doing recruiting back in the day. I was doing a lot of interviews and recruiting people for a big company here in Argentina. And, but at some point, I wanted to do my own stuff. And I didn't really know what that was. I was in university back then. I was studying public relations, but I didn't really know what that was. And so I decided to, I did the math in my head and I said, okay, so if I stay like 10 years here in this day job, maybe I will, or 10 or 15, maybe I will make a career, and then maybe I will end up in, I don't know, in some sort of middle management position, maybe if you're lucky, a C-level position and whatnot, right? Maybe. So if the stars align and everything. So I did the math and say, if I quit now and I dedicate to my own stuff 10 years, in a row, the possibility, could be pretty much anything. I think that the growth is there. So I decided to take a step forward. I quit my job without a safety net, without anything. And at the same time, I was learning a lot about digital marketing. I had a little bit of side projects here and there. I put together my first web design, my first website on WordPress. I remember, because I quit from this company that I was doing recruiting for, and then the guys reach out to me and say, "Hey, dude, do you want to do the same on a freelance basis?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, why not?" So I had to put up, website and whatnot. And that was like my first quote unquote free, freelance gig. But I wasn't that much into recruiting. So what I decided to do out of nowhere, I moved in with my girlfriend to a really nice city here called Cordova. It's like, 8-10 hours away from Buenos Aires. And it's really nice. But, I knew that I wanted to do something in the digital space. I just didn't know what. And I started, digging in forums and whatnot. And I didn't have a paid job, at that point, didn't have a paid job. She did, my girlfriend did, but it got like really, really tight. There was like 6 months or 7 months or 8 months where we moved in together. We were living, out of her paycheck, and things got really, really tight. And, at some point Cordoba gets really cold here because it's southern, you know, of Argentina. It's like really southern. And it gets really cold. And I remember that we had to choose either to put food on the table or to heat up the house. You know, it was like that tight. So the first thing that I decided to do, I could write in English. I could do a couple stuff. So I put together a profile on Fiverr, you know, Fiverr.com. And I started selling articles for $4, $3 a pop, $4 a pop. It actually was $5 a pop, but you know, Fiverr took $1. So it was like $4 my way. And you know, I started like writing articles, and I knew a little bit about SEO as well. And I started doing articles and optimizing them for websites and whatnot, all through Fiverr. I wrote hundreds of articles every week, and that, you know, just to, you know, put some food on the table. And then people started reaching out to me outside of Fiverr to hire me to do content for them. And then one thing led to the other, like content, and then people started to ask me to do SEO. I would still get some clients here and there for web design and whatnot. And out of SEO, I started learning a lot about SEO. And I got together with these guys, you know, with this mastermind. It was by Alex Becker back in the day. It was like 10 years ago, or well, 8 years ago, something like that.
Wow.
And, you know, we started doing this mastermind thing. And then those became the group that stayed there. We kept on doing our own stuff. And that became Semantic Mastery, which is one of my companies right now. And that was the one that we got the 7-figure award, the Tucumã Club award this year for. So this was like 7 years ago. And then, you know, we started doing digital training for SEO agencies and whatnot, using everything that we knew. And at that point, what I had to do is I'm in charge of the marketing for the company. So I decided what I had to do is to start learning about paid acquisition, right? We needed to get people into our funnels, into, you know, our PDFs. We had a $47 product on JVZoo, you know, so we had to get people in there. So that's how I started, you know, tinkering with Facebook ads. So this was like, 6 years ago. And then, you know, that's basically the story. The rest is history up at that point.
Yeah, I hear you. So when you were back in your cold apartment, writing articles like a madman, you must have had like sore fingers from typing so much or something, right? Yes. Putting food on the table, keeping the house cold. Did you ever feel like quitting back then?
Oh yeah, 1,000 times every day, like every single day. I would say, well, you know, I'm young. I can go out there and find another job. I can go out there, find a part-time job. So quitting was always in the back of my mind, always, all the time. But then I was like, literally, as you were saying, huddled on my laptop, like my fingers were actually freezing, you know, they were swollen, you know, up to, so because of so much typing and whatnot. And it was like really hard. I had like 5 or 6 sweaters, you know, put on. It was really, really hard. I was like freezing.
I can picture it. I can picture it.
Yeah. It was like, you know, oh, well, another article, and then another one, and then another one, another one. And, but yeah, quitting was always in the back of my head. Like all.
What, you know, for someone listening out there who's possibly in that position right now, because we've all struggled at some point, right? It's never rainbows the whole time for anybody, like, right? So for someone listening right now who's possibly sitting at home just grinding and trying to make ends meet while they're shooting for their dream, they're going for that goal. They look at a guy like you who just walked the stage on you got the Tucumã Club, you're hanging out with the top dudes in the world, you're working with the biggest names, you have 7-figure companies, you're totally on top of the world now. Looking back, what would you tell someone who's in that position right now, who's fighting some internal demons to quit or to have a down day where they just don't want to do it, or they feel like they're never going to get there? What would you tell that person?
That's actually a great point. I think that curiosity will keep the flame alive in terms of this didn't work and that didn't work, right? And what happens, like, you know, Tony Robbins was at FHL 2020. It was in 2018 as well. And the same thing over and over was like, what if this doesn't work, right? You try something else. What if that doesn't work? Then you try something else, and then you try something else, and then you try something else. So I think that curiosity was the thing that kept me, you know, on top of things. Like, reading on forums or trying to collaborate with people, because after like 8 to 9 to 10 hours of writing, then I would step back and then I would start like digging into forums, trying to, you know, find additional ways of making money online, quote unquote, whatever that was back in the day. So, so I think that curiosity will keep you, you know, will keep you there, because everything that's new has like an excitement, ingredient to it, if that makes sense. And we as entrepreneurs, we always like to be solving problems. So curiosity, talking to people, and trying to make your craft better every day, I think that's the key. Because if you focus on what you're not achieving right now, it's really, really hard to move forward, right? Because it might take you weeks or months or maybe even years to get to the point where you want to be. But trying new things, curiosity, trying things that, you know, they didn't work before, maybe with another optic, or just try something else. Like, for instance, I remember I was going into the forums and saying, well, with this little Twitter bot, you can make like $5 every day. Then I would try it and it wouldn't work, but I tried anyways, right? And I learned something about it. Then Instagram, if you do this and this and this with quotes, then you can, and I tried that. And of course it didn't work, but I learned something about Instagram anyway. So that's, and I think that will make you a much more valuable entrepreneur. And those ideas will permeate in what you're doing right now in terms of the day-to-day, so that you can keep the flame alive and you can keep going better every day.
Yeah. Yeah. In terms of this podcast, continual growth, right? Like growing every day keeps the spark alive, and you're steadily increasing your skill set. It's not a failure. It's a learning experience, right? That whole thing. That's essentially what you're saying. Yeah. I completely agree. You know, when I first got online, I've only been online about a year and a half now. And I went through, people say like, how many things have you tried? I'm like, I have no idea. Like 50? I don't know. I've tried literally, I think almost everything there is. But I would learn very quickly that it wasn't working for me. Sure, it worked for other people. Okay. But maybe it's just not something I enjoy, or I just didn't have the secret, or I didn't have a mentor in place and all this stuff. And I just realized, since I was moving so fast, that, oh, this failed. Why? Okay, this is the reason. Do I want to fix it and move forward, or do I want to move on? And I would just make that decision quickly and just keep going forward until I found something that interested me, that worked, and then kind of refined from there. Right. So yeah. So just keep going, essentially, is what you're saying. Right. I love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, cool. So I hear you, man. I hear you. You've been on quite the journey. And like I say, now you're just smashing it. So walk us through a little bit, you know, how did you discover your current business model? Because now you've really niched down and you're an expert in your field and you're world renowned at it. How did you come across that? And how did you decide one day, like, oh yeah, you know, this is the thing for me?
Right.
How did that all happen?
Yeah, that's actually a great point. And I think it has to do with the same thing, right? Because you keep on testing stuff. Initially, you don't know, right? And you know what you know, and you know what you don't know, but then also you don't know what you know, and you don't know what you don't know, which is the larger part of everything. But the thing is that testing allows you also to put out like products and services, and even like put out messages out there, right? So at some point I was talking about everything, pretty much everything digital marketing, pretty much. I was talking about email marketing because I had to develop skill set in email marketing. And I was talking about, scaling, because I had to develop skills in scaling. And then I had to talk about Instagram, organic growth, SEO. So you have to learn all about, pretty much everything. And SEO and link building and all of that, right? And then I started talking about Facebook at some point. And people started resonating, like I think that Russell Brunson talks about this a lot. The more content you put out there, the more like hooks you're putting out there, then at some point you will start realizing that people start resonating with one or two things. And then you become really good at one or two things, right? When I was launching Facebook ads campaigns and Instagram ad campaigns, and then I was making them work, initially it wasn't easy at all, but I started to make them work, and then I started to make them work. And also, not only that, but I enjoyed the fact that I was, making them work. And then we started deploying it for other clients, and then they worked there too. And then you started brainstorming with some other experts and whatnot. And then you become good at something, and then people start resonating also as well with the messaging that you're putting out. That's where you start niching down. I think that niching down is super, super powerful in terms of the type of clients that you can get if you're interested in getting clients, the type of products that you can produce if you're interested in, you know, having your own line of products, and the type of, you know, content that you can put out there. Niching down is really, really powerful, but it doesn't come out as in, oh, well, you wake up one day and then you know for a fact that this is the path that you're going to be in. It's about A, what you're really good at, or what you're becoming really good at, right? B, what you enjoy doing, because there's two different things. I was still really good at SEO, but I didn't enjoy it that much. Mm-hmm. So it's like A, what you're good at, B, what you enjoy doing, and C, what are people resonating with, right? Mm-hmm. So when we started putting out SEO content, people started resonating with it because it was sexy. Oh, well, Google rankings and all of that. You can gain, you know, better Google rankings, a lot of organic traffic. It's sexy, people like it and all of that. But I wasn't digging it that much. So I thought, okay, we can go that route, but it's not what I want to do. I started doing the same with Facebook ads and Facebook advertising, and people started resonating with it because, again, it's a nice topic. It's sexy. Once you crack the code, you know, you can get a lot of leads and customers to your funnels. And then I started really enjoying it, and I became really good at it. So that's how I kind of niche down in terms of what I'm doing right now. And every day it's a matter of, you know, honing your craft, sharpening the axe every single day. Every day, you know, you're sharpening the axe, you're honing your craft, you're testing a lot of different stuff to see what sticks. Funny that you mentioned the fact that how many things you tried, right? And I don't know, hundreds of thousands of different things. And when you work with these high level entrepreneurs, you know, multimillionaires, they built like massive brands and whatnot. The speed rate at what they're the speed rate that they fail at what they're failing, right, is like mind blowing to me. Like the speed rate that they're using to fail and to fail forward is like 10 to 100 times faster than any of the other entrepreneurs that I work with, because they are obsessed into finding that thing that works and then multiplying it. But in finding that thing that works, you need to go through a lot of things that do not work. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. So I think that's how you hone down, if that makes sense. Does that answer the question?
Oh yeah, beautifully. Yeah. And I completely agree. It's been my sole mission since I picked up my computer and typed in Google, like, how do I make money on the internet? Since that day, I've literally just said, do everything, find it. Like, just go as fast as you can. I stay up late. I get up early. I spend all day networking, meeting people, and just thinking of things, learning things, do the thing. Totally imperfect. I launch imperfect constantly. Most of them fail. I just look at it. I detach my emotion from it, which is hard, but I detach the emotion, take the lesson, take what I get from it, the network that I built there, move on to the next thing. And then just sort of over time, you're building. And then all of a sudden something hits and you're like, oh, this actually is pretty cool. And then when you get in there, like for me, it's sales. I've been gravitating towards sales my whole life. I just didn't realize it. And now that I'm here, I can see like, okay, I'm very passionate about sales actually. So now I'm going niching down further. And I really enjoy that stuff now. So it took me some time to get through there. I had to go through a bunch of stuff. I went network marketing. I went in over to crypto. I went all over the place. I was doing drop shipping. I was trying to build Amazon. Like I was literally just anything I could see online. I was like, yes, in. Where's my credit card? What's the first step? You know? And I'm glad I did. You know, that's the way to do it. If you just try one and stick with it forever, that's like, you know, on Shark Tank, they always talk about that. I'm sure you might probably watch a little bit of that show. I don't watch TV, but that's one show that I do like, Shark Tank. And they always say, how long have you been doing this like business plan for? And the entrepreneur's like 33 years. And they're like, oh my God, you're married to it. You got to move on, man. We're not investing in this thing because they're completely married to it. They're blind. And I'm just avoiding that completely by moving as fast as I can. So yeah, right. Thank you for confirming my madness.
Right. No, for sure.
That's good.
We're all in the same boat.
Yeah, for sure, man. I hear you. I've heard that from a lot of guys as well. So that's awesome. So tell me a little bit about, I mean, I have to ask, you know, Frank Kern, Grant Cardone, some of the biggest names in the industry, like ridiculous. Grant Cardone's got his GrowthCon on this week. We're currently
Yes.
recording this in February 2020. So he's in GrowthCon right now. Of course, I'm watching all my friends' stories and everyone who's there. It looks awesome. He's got all sorts of cool guests. Frank Kern is the man. Love Frank Kern. Love how authentic and cool he is in general. It's just awesome. I follow those guys religiously. And, you work intimately with those guys. So tell us a little bit about that if you can. I just love to hear a little bit about what that's like.
Yeah, for sure. So let me give you a little bit of a backstory.
Sure.
If you do any digital marketing in any capacity, you will come across some people that are really legit, that are, putting out their best content out there, and they're always experimenting, and they're always putting out their research out there. I think that Frank is one of those people, and I've been following him forever, since I can remember. And then what I did is something that I learned also by actually being successful, kind of successful at, working with these high-level entrepreneurs, is that if you want to move faster, if you want to kind of, accelerate the process, you need to find somebody that you can work with, or you can work for, that isn't kind of the position that you want to achieve at some point in your life, right? Mm-hmm. So that has always been one of my goals, and I'm a big fanboy as well. So if you want to accelerate that, you want to do whatever it is on your power to actually get to these people, network with these people, and try to work for them or work with them, right? Mm-hmm. And so what I did, to kind of achieve that, is I joined Frank Inner Circle. I put, my money where my mouth was. Yeah. So I joined his Inner Circle and whatnot. And then what I started doing was to be really, really helpful in his Facebook group. Mm. So in his Facebook group, I was like dropping, value every day, and trying to be helpful and trying to network with other, Inner Circle members and answering the questions and all of that. And then I remember, one of their team members, Tyler, who's been with him forever, he reached out to me and say, "Hey, dude, you're really helpful on the Facebook group. Do you want to become a moderator of the Facebook group? We'll comp your Inner Circle fee, whatever." I said, "Yeah, sure, of course." Step one. Then I became a moderator. And then back in the day, this was at the end of 2018, they started putting together an agency. Frank started putting together an agency. He wanted to start, giving Facebook ad services to entrepreneurs and to his clientele. So a CMO came in. His name is Brad Bearden, great guy. I love that dude. And he came in, and he reached out to me, and then he said, "Hey, dude, listen, I know that you have your agency. I know that you're running ads for clients. Do you want to come on board and work as part of the team, as a media buyer for the clients of Frank?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, of course," right? And it all stemmed out to be about being really, really helpful, and, being out there, and, being open with the knowledge that you have. Mm. And so what happened is we started, chugging along with some clients and whatnot. And after a couple months, I remember Brad left. He left to do his own stuff. And then I kind of had to step in and fill in the shoes, right? Fill in that position. Mm. And at that point, it was February 2019. I had to start running. So I started, working directly with Frank, and I started running all of his campaigns, all of his paid media campaigns. And we were running a lot of budget. We were running a book funnel back in the day, and we still are, running that book funnel. And that was I know that is like the number one source of acquisition for a lot of these companies. Like Russell Brunson has a book funnel, Grant Cardone has a book funnel, or several book funnels. Frank Kern has several book funnels out there as well. And so I fell in because I was there already. And then I remember in March 2019, Grant Cardone and Frank Kern partnered up and launched Cardone Kern Advertising Agency. Yeah. And I was already there running all of the ads. I was already there. And then I had to train all of the media buyers that came by, because we went from 20 or 30 accounts all the way to over 200 accounts in like 9 months,
for sure.
In like nothing.
Powerhouses.
And it was like a really big growth. And we went from, I don't know, it was a small team when we started. It was like 6 people working for the agency up to 55 people working at the agency at some point. And then half of those, they were my team. They were like all of the media buyers that I had to hire and train to deliver services to the clients. And that was like, because we were using a really specific approach to Facebook ads, which is called intent-based branding, which is, kind of a strategy that Frank developed.
Yeah, love it.
So we were serving and we were building this intent-based branding campaigns for all of the clients. So I had to train them and I had to build that up. So that was kind of the experience. And I also ran ads for the agency itself, right? Because it was not only like managing this team of people, but also doing all of the marketing for the agency alongside Frank. So at the end of last year, Frank and Grant decided to separate. No hard feelings, but it wasn't taking. It was like a business. It was a really huge structure at that point. And I kept on working with Frank, so I'm still working with Frank at this point. So the teachings out of that is that, again, these guys are failing at a rate much faster than we can even imagine. You launch one thing one day, and something that I learned from Frank specifically is the fact that the amount of effort that you're putting into any project does not equal the amount of success that the project will have. And the amount of effort that we're putting in, it's like we're getting married to that idea, right? The 33-year-old business plan, you're married to that idea. You put in so much energy, so much money in it that it has to succeed, right? It has to succeed. And that's not how the marketplace works, unfortunately. So, and that is something that I learned is that, we as entrepreneurs, let's say that you're putting together an info product, and you maybe spend like weeks or months putting together the training and recording the training because you just woke up with a great idea for a product because you thought it was a great idea, right? So, and this is going to be a great product. So you spend all of this time planning, spend all of this time recording, you spend all of this time editing the videos, or even for an e-commerce product, you start sourcing the product, you get all of this set up, and then you put it out there on the marketplace and nobody wants it. Nobody buys it, right? So you spend like weeks or months to that stage, and you put out there and then nobody wants it. So what they do is it's the other way around. It's the complete opposite, actually. They put out an idea to the marketplace, and if somebody will buy it, if somebody will put because you can put a poll out on Facebook and say, hey guys, who would want this? And then a lot of people say yes, or on Instagram, hey guys, who would want this? But people need to put money where their mouth is, right? In order for you to confirm that that's a viable idea for a product or a training or whatever. So you sell first and then you develop, right? So we did it a couple of times with Semantic Mastery. I did it for my own personal brand and programs and whatnot. And I did that. I sold first at a discounted rate if you want to, right? And then I developed. So I just did this 6-week Facebook ads course, and I was really open saying, hey guys, this is an experiment. I don't know if it's going to work. I'm just putting it out there. I'm just at a discounted price because you're going to be the first people coming on, and I recorded it live for 6 weeks, right? And then people say yes. And then that's how I knew that I had something that I could sell. And once you have that, then you can go back and think about, okay, how do I put the mechanisms in place to actually sell this on an evergreen basis? Where do I promote it? Blah, blah, blah. So that's why I'm saying that these guys are failing, and they're not devoting a lot of time and efforts and money and resources to a project if the project is not selling right off the bat. That's the ultimate test for a product or a service, is people buying that product and service before it's even live. And that's where you develop, you give a great experience, but they're not putting in any effort at all before they have some capital and they have some confirmation from the marketplace that it's going to work. Does that make sense?
Yeah, completely. And it's so logical when you think of it this way, in this frame, when you explain it and you actually break it down in your mind and you think, okay, sell what the market wants to buy, and then reverse engineer the process and build it out and make it awesome once they've told you what they want.
Right.
But it's so natural, I guess, for you to just be like, oh, I know what they want. I got it. I'm going to spend a year making this amazing thing. And they can't wait to get this thing because I think they want it. But you're not the one making the buying decision, right? They are. Yeah. Right. That's so, and what you're saying is they're going out to the marketplace, they're testing, they're putting stuff out there. They're throwing out hooks, as Russell says, right? They're throwing out hooks when they catch a bunch of fish that say, oh yeah, that's a cool hook. All right, cool. Now we'll build this around it, and then we'll put in the structure and the evergreen and all the work, and then the ads, and then just scale it out after that, right?
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
That's so cool.
That's how they operate. And that's why they build audiences, right? They spend a lot of money and a lot of time building audiences so that they have that testing ground, followers on Instagram or subscribers or Facebook page likes or people in a Facebook group, whatever you want to, or Twitter followers, whatever your audience is, you want to build it because that's your testing ground first. You go to them first. Hey guys, would you be interested in this? Hey guys, what do you think about this? And then you realize based off of the engagement that you have, okay, this is a viable idea, right? There's a response to this offer. At the end of the day, we are the direct response marketer. So we are always taking a look at the response that an offer has. And then if it has a lot of response compared to the rest of the stuff that we put out that it didn't work, compared to the rest of the stuff, then this has a good response, then we develop.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's great. That is great. That's profound for a lot of people listening, man. Thank you so much for that value. That's amazing because, I've heard this kind of before and I've thought about it and everything, but it's completely different when you hear it from the mouth of someone who's worked and rubbed shoulders with the top guys in the industry. And to hear that that's really how they do it and to know it as fact, it's different than like you're reading it in a book or a blog, like, oh, you should test the market first. I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. But now that, when they hear it from your mouth and I know that that's what they're doing, and that's a huge reason they can actually move so quickly because we've already established that's massive for success. That's huge. That's massive. I love it. It's awesome. It's so cool. Yeah. Like I've put out the odd poll. Like I've tried this out a little bit myself. And I'll put a little poll like in my Instagram stories, like would you rather learn about sales, like strategy or mindset? For example, I'll put these two things there. And I'm like, I bet everyone's going to say strategy. That's what I think. I'm like, everybody says. And what do I see? The next day, it's like 93% mindset. I'm like, holy shit, it's the opposite of what I thought. And that's a example, right? Then I go out and build a mindset course. That's what you're saying, right? Yeah. That's cool, man. Okay. So, you have so many accomplishments and you've done so much cool stuff. Okay. Before I ask you this next question, I'm just curious, how was the experience at the Two Comma Club award ceremony?
It was awesome. It was awesome. And I recommend that every one of you guys would strive to get that. And funny enough, last year, I was there with my partner, one of my partners, Adam Moody. He's awesome. And we were there. I was like, dude, it would be pretty awesome if we go, next year, if we go up on stage and whatnot. And we already had a business, working and whatnot. So we developed a couple of funnels to actually achieve that. Yeah. And we got it. So that was pretty cool. So you set the intention first to go, right? And you believe it's possible. I know this is getting a little bit woo-woo, but you believe it's possible. But also the experience itself, it was great. The way they treat you, they make you feel like a real accomplished person. But also not only that, I remember that I was in the event and I had this early access, VIP access for whatever reason, because you were getting the award. So in the next 3 days or 4 days when the conference, was, then I got access to this place of the Gaylord Opryland, which is in Nashville, the hotel where they do it, where there was like early access and whatnot. And what happened is that I started networking with a lot of high level people as well. So I think that is one of the key points, is that you get the award. It's awesome. The picture with Russell, with Todd, that's great. The accomplishment, it's great. At the end of the day, then you realize that making $1 million on a funnel, it's not a lot. Then you need to keep on growing, right? But I think that the fact that you were there, and I was able to network, and I was able to talk to other high level entrepreneurs that they were achieving 1 million, 10 million, 25, 100 million, however much, and, you know, brainstorm and add value to them. I think that not only like pick their brains, but add value. I think that that was the most important thing. And also making connections. Like if you become the person that is making the connections, you become the connector, that usually adds a lot of value as well. So that was a lot of fun. And, you know, kudos to Russell and to everyone, the ClickFunnels team. They're working their butts off to make this, you know, happen. And the culture that they have generated, it's, you know, it's something else. It's really amazing.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome, man. Congrats on that. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, the networking is probably by far the most valuable aspect of the whole thing, right? At the end of the day, networking is your network is your network. We hear this a million times, and it's so true. And if you can get in a room of accomplished entrepreneurs who are exactly in where you are, they're in the same, you know, mind frame, they're in the same sort of sphere, and they're crushing it, and you're all in there together, and you're all in high spirits and good vibes. You're all on this trip, and you're getting to know each other in a good emotional state. You know, you're all feeling happy and good in that moment. You're also having an emotional impression on people in the moment because it's a good experience. You're not meeting them at like a funeral or something. You're meeting them in a very high vibe environment, and you're having amazing connections. And you can just take those with you for the rest of your life and be the connector for many things and JVs and all sorts of amazing stuff, right? And just making good friends, right? Cool friends that are switched on and that think like you, that understand you when you say pixel. They're like, oh yeah, pixels. Yeah. Right? That's always interesting. Okay, so one last thing here before I let you go. I want to respect your time here, and I appreciate your time again for sure. This has been awesome, man. So much value. You've done so much. It's just so cool to hear these stories and stuff. What's one transformational sort of thing that's happened to you internally that you've recognized in yourself from the journey from the coal department, struggling to make ends meet, to now, you know, crushing it, smashing it all over the place? What's something that happened to you maybe that you didn't expect would happen, but you can now recognize it looking back?
That's a great point. I think that my first sell online crystallized what's possible, right? So when we launched, or back in the day, like 7 years ago, when we launched Semantic Mastery, we were starting to put together this training product. It was called IFTTT SEO Academy, because it will show you how to create automation with IFTTT, which is, you know, an automation tool. It stands for if this then that. You can do a lot of cool stuff. It's like Zapier. You know, you can do a lot of cool stuff with IFTTT. And we developed, my partner Bradley Benner and myself and the rest of the crew, we developed this training called IFTTT SEO Academy. And that was our first like big hit with Semantic Mastery. And we sold it like for $27 or $37 or $47. I don't remember. Nice. And it was pretty funny. And, but it was really good. It was really valuable. But I think that the first time, like the first couple sales that we got out of that crystallized what was possible, you know, getting the first sell on Fiverr. Yeah. I say, okay, this is not, like it was like, it didn't matter that I had to spend like 30 minutes or 40 minutes writing an article for $4 or something like that, or an hour for $4. It didn't really matter. What mattered is that an email came in from Fiverr and it was like, you got a new sale, right? Result. And then an email came in from JVZoo and you got a new sale. And it was like, okay, there's something here. People are paying for this stuff, right? People are actually giving me money without even knowing me personally. So that crystallized a lot of the ideas, and that was a big transformation. I remember that. Then I launched a book funnel on my own, and I had some struggle putting it in and making it work. But then when sales started to come up from ads, I was like, oh, there might be something here, because, you know, I started getting those little notifications about, oh, well, you got a new sale, you got a new sale, you got a new sale. I use Slack with my team, and then, you know, we hooked up Stripe with Zapier to Slack, so we get notified of every sale, and that keeps it up and pumped. And so I think that was a big transformation, if that makes sense. That first sale crystallized what was possible. Yeah, absolutely. It confirmed that you were onto something, and it just
lit the fire. It ignited you, right? And you're like,
Yeah.
oh yeah. And since then you just, like that, right? It's awesome. Cool, man. Well, it's been a pleasure having you here on the Growth Podcast, Hernan. I really do appreciate your time, your stories, your value. You have so much to offer, and you're just doing such amazing things. Great, great stuff. I love it so much. It's guys like you who really, make this industry what it is. And I mean that honestly, like giving value up front, being transparent about your struggles, all that stuff. That's super valuable for people to hear. It's amazing what you're doing. I appreciate your time so much. For the listeners who want to check you out, find out where you are, look at your services, follow you, creep on you on social media, where can they find you?
Yeah, if you search for my name, Hernan Vazquez, if you search on Facebook, have a page there, have a Facebook group as well, Instagram as well. It's at Hernan Vazquez Marketing. I have a YouTube channel. I've been putting out content there for the past, I think, 4 years. So there's a lot of free good stuff in there as well. So pretty much if you search for me, you're gonna find me. So
absolutely. And that's all in the show notes for you to find. Thanks again, Hernan, for being on the Growth Podcast. I appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.